Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Putty and welcome back for another episode of Blood Bowl 2, ESI August 2018. I am, of course, as always this season, playing the Flying Trash Cans, my droid-themed halfling team, and I am proud to say that probably for the first and only time this season, the Flying Trash Cans sit proudly atop the league. Lowest team value in the league, as is our strategy and our plan, but the highest in wins to loss ratio. In fact, we sit as the only undefeated team this year. Of course, that might change going into our next game, but we won 4, drew 1 and lost 0. But after the last little PvP game, which I just had the pleasure of watching, every other team in the league has suffered at least 1 defeat. Not much has changed. We are currently on round 6, and the last game you saw was round 5. So there is a very quick turnaround on PvP this time around, because I am here to do my team builder for you for our game. That is going to be a big one. Clash at the top of the table against the Atari Strikers. The Smither, Charles Smith, he is coaching that team, and that is what we're doing today. But before we start, let's take out what the other results from round 5. Although you may have seen a lot of them last time. The only one that is new is the one with the Force taking on the Atari Strikers, and the Atari Strikers did lose. It was a bit of a crush. Armor value 8 doesn't hold up particularly well to block efficiency, and the Undead team did get really good block efficiency. If we take a look at this, they got 36 successful blocks. That's very solid. Going into their round 4 game, I worked out they were around 33 blocks per game, so this was a higher than average block efficiency. Charles did a very poor job, I'm sure he would admit, of restricting their blocking ability. But something that should be mentioned, of course, is that Atari Strikers did have some pretty bad luck today. It's not the worst rolling luck that I've ever seen in the world, but having watched a large chunk of the game and having been told about the other chunk of the game, the failures came in very crucial areas. This stat right here is probably an important one to take a look at. There was a very big difficulty on Charles's drive getting the ball onto his Agi 3 players. Didn't choose to pick it up with his Agi 2 players. Agi 4 player, not Agi 2. He's not playing Khemri. And although on average for an Agi 3 team, this is a more success than failure kind of route. That's still a lot of ones, 1 being the most frequent result being rolled, and they came at really important parts for him, so it does suck a little bit, but you cannot deny the block efficiency of the Undead team, who ground out, broke first drive, and then attrition just hit them. It was very obvious in the second half that attrition ended up getting to them. Exciting stuff towards the end, though, as Elite managed to get the ball free, and after that, it was a bit of a scramble to see if they could score their second touchdown. But they did end up doing it. Just going to compare the two matches we've seen from the one with the Force team in the PvP so far, since we will be playing them after the Strikers. 36 blocks, which is more than the game against the Wood Elves, but they got 11 armor breaks in this match. So I'm going to compare those statistics to see if he did indeed get lucky. No, actually, interesting fun factors. Even though he had 34 successful block in this one, the exact same amount of armor breaks. So if anything, from a block to armor break ratio, Marshall's team got it worse. But there is, of course, that there were, I think, more removals in that second game. Because if we take a look at, so for example, KOs and kills and injuries inflicted, you're talking about 4 permanent removals, or 3 permanent removals and a drive removal in this game. And in this game, it is 3 permanent removals, so less permanent removals, but 4 drive removals, which were definitely felt. Although, I don't think this reflects the whole nature of what was going on in this game, because I think Charles suffered more KOs from his own stuff, like failed dodges and such. So, something to keep in mind, that the dice log, that little dice summary that was added during Legendary Edition, and the statistics tell some of the story, but even they are not perfect mathematical examples of what was going on during the games. I'm going to turn Blood Bowl up a little bit. Actually, I'm going to turn your guys' listen of Blood Bowl down a bit, and then I'm going to turn actual Blood Bowl up a little bit. This should be the last video, by the way. This and the actual match we're going to play should be the last videos recorded on this PC. I've had this PC for a while. If you've been watching the channel for a few years, you might remember when I had it. It was in 2015, and 2013. It's been 5 years, and I will be getting a new one soon. I've got most of my parts, and I will be building this week, and that will make Blood Bowl run a lot smoother. Because honestly, OBS and Blood Bowl do not work so well on my 770, which is a little surprising. But Blood Bowl has never claimed to be the most efficient of games. But let's take a look at the teams. Marshall's team has gotten even better. I think last time we saw him, he had his Agi, strength and guard, but he has since rolled movement up on one of his war dancers, which means he does have a movement 9 war dancer, which is just crazy. It's a very, very cool player. It's a very, very powerful player. This Wood Elf team is starting to look like an exceptional team. You know, there are some teams in Blood Bowl where you just get normal rolls and they just turn into experience, but not necessarily exceptional teams. And then there are some teams where you just get unique things. Not every Wood Elf team is going to have a Movement 9 War Dancer. Not every Wood Elf team is going to have an Agi 5 Catcher, or a Strength 4 Lineman, or a Guard Lineman. These are unique things, and if Marshall can build around this, getting dodge on these rookie linemen, getting block on Hardcase, getting block on Jesse, getting block on Obi-Wan, getting maybe Sure Feet and Wrestle on Plo Koon, getting Tackle maybe on Ahsoka, or maybe not, actually, because I've started to think, actually, you don't really need Tackle on Bull Strippers. But anyway, I'm getting maybe Strip Ball on Anakin, or something like that, starting to really build out. And of course, a new addition to his team is the Tree Man, a positional that we share. We also have Tree Men on our team. They are a little different on the Wood Elf team. The only difference is that they have Loner, and there is also kind of a contextual difference in that they do not have Halflings to throw. I believe there might be a Right Stuff star player. There is for humans. I'm not sure if there is for Wood Elves. I doubt it. So them not being able to throw is definitely a disadvantage. Also, only having one of them, only having Loner. Problem with Loner is you cannot really reliably re-roll Take Root, which means they're going to root more often. They're not very good blitzers. They're not as reliable as the Halfling trees, which sucks, but, you know, it still has its advantages. I think the Halfling tree, the Wood Elf tree, is actually a very crucial part of the team. Strength 6 means it's a very, very difficult piece to block. It has armor value 10, which means you need to roll an 11 or a 12 on an unmodified armor roll to injure it. Although, admittedly, if the tree gets on the ground, it's essentially a stun, because they will be out for quite some time, because they need to roll I believe it's a coin flip, or at best it's a 3+, to get back up afterwards, because they only have 2 movement allowance. And another problem with the tree is you only have one good strength skill, which is grab. And after that, if you don't roll doubles, it's probably worth getting a new tree, which can be very expensive for a team that needs to replace a lot of people. But if you do have a grab tree, that's pretty good, because you can keep people around him, and he takes hits for your Wood Elves. And every hit that the tree takes, or every hit that the tree prevents, because the tree is marking people that can't really dodge away from him, is positive. And it increases your strength, because this is a team that kind of needs some strength if it's going to have block efficiency. And Marshall's team now has a ridiculous amount of strength. With Strength 6, you need 1 assist to get 3 dice. These 3 players on an offensive line, on defensive, probably you want the tree on there because he's too slow to go anywhere else. But you probably don't want these 2 players on your defensive LOS. But on an offensive LOS, you can get a very easy 3 die with this tree almost every time on an LOS player with the guard there. And once that player's down, you probably are going to get a 3 die with your Strength 4. It starts to turn into almost a power team, which is crazy for the Wood Elves. So this is a very, very good team. They've lost twice, once to the AI because of early elf jitters, and once to me because of, you know, if you want to go and watch the game, I recommend it, but there is some luck involved for sure. I mean, there's some misplays and some good plays on my end, but there was definitely a lot of luck involved on his end. But this Wood Elf team is starting to look very scary, and Marshall is getting better every game he plays, so we should be very worried about the 501st Legion going forward. Let's look at one with the Force. I still think the favourites to win. They managed to get their season back on track after a defeat at the hands of the Wood Elves by just systematically destroying a Kislev team. There's no other way to put it. And as I said last time, they get very efficient at these team values. He went for sure hands to play against the Wood Elves, didn't end up paying dues for him, and he's probably going to need to get that block ASAP, but he's only 2 touchdowns away from getting that block, and then he will have a pretty much completely developed team. He's already got 1 dirty player, and he's not far off of getting, like, for me, I think most of your linemen are better off rookies for team value bloat, but I think you probably want 3 level ups, and that's 2 dirty players and a kick. And, hopefully you roll doubles to get a block, a guard blocker, But if you don't roll that, 3 level ups on the lineman is all you need, and his positionals have a lot of SPP. You're looking at a very developed white here with Mighty Blow Tackle. It's very scary for me. Probably going to be scary for a highly developed Wood Elf team. Probably going to be scary for a highly developed Kislev team. It's a very nasty piece. And you've got Mighty Blow already on the white, which means his SPP farm is going to be good. Probably going to get guard on that later, which turns him into a very strengthy team. Both his mummies luckily have leveled up. Gets guard on both of those. Even more strength, which honestly, naturally, undead aren't actually that strong of a team when I'm talking about natural strength. But with 2 guard mummies, you're talking about a very strong unit. Although they still only have movement allowance 3. So you have to be very careful not to be outsped. I mean, that goes for all of this team. It's a lot slower than Necromantic. But very developed whites and a decent ghoul who took a situational pick that will come in handy because, it's always nice to have a reroll on the pickups. It's good. It's pretty much where he needs to be. I don't see any major improvements coming here. He just picked up an enhancement for his stadium, which is the referee rest area. This is going to do very, very well for him against the Kislev and the Wood Elf team because they're never going to try fouling him. So it's basically not a double-sided inducement. Of course, it gives your opponent it too, but it is really going to find use with you because the Kislev and the Wood Elf team are never going to foul. And for me, when I foul and use a bribe, that means I keep a strength 2 halfling on the pitch. It's not really a huge deal. When he fouls, he gets to keep a strength 3 lineman on the pitch, which is a little better. Obviously, you don't mind that lineman getting sent off, that's why you fouled with him in the first place, but using the bribe means you can keep your numbers advantage for longer, and at the end of the day, the fouling game is all about numbers advantage, as is, honestly, the undead team. So, let's take a look at our opponents for the upcoming game. Also, I'd like to apologize, I did take my level up, I think, at the end of the last video, so we won't be doing a level up on screen, even though I had one. That's my bad. I forgot we were supposed to do this during the team builders, but I'll talk about it anyway. So let's take a look at our enemy team. They are only 1 person down. He thought during the game with Toe that he was going to be 2 people down, I believe, because Plo Koon was out injured. So he had a loner, and he was like, oh, I'm going to have 2 people because I already have a loner. But Plo Koon's actually back, so he's only going to get 1 loner. Before we start talking about team value calculations, which is honestly what I was about to dive into, let's take a look at his level ups and his development. So the Blitzers, we talked about this last time. I think those 2 should have been flipped. I think the nuisance player of Luke Skywalker as a blodge guard player to just stick somewhere and get in the nitty gritty of things would have been better. And this player I think I would have given Mighty Blow Tackle to. I think that would have been better as a surgical removal piece. But at the end of the day, they're still incredibly powerful pieces. This is a blodge player that can tackle my guys. Very annoying. He's going to stick him. If he sticks him next to a halfling, very difficult to get away. And this is a Mighty Blow player who also adds strength wherever he goes. Very nasty. Very hard to deal with. He has a new rookie blitzer. I think he made the right call. I was a little umming and ahhing because I think he talked to us about whether he would buy a blitzer or a catcher next. And I think I was honestly pushing him to get a catcher because I think they're more fun than I think the IG4 would have helped the team. But I think in hindsight, getting the extra blitzer is definitely a good idea. The more blitzers you have in a Kislev team, the better the team is. So hopefully that starts developing shortly. And then, of course, he has a catcher with dodge, which is just a hard to pin down player, and a Agi4 menace that can leap on a 2+, an incredibly strong ball sacker if you can make him into one. Doesn't seem to be the path he's following, but we will see. And he has gotten a level up on alignment. His first skill was kick. And I don't know how I feel about this. The only 2 teams where I go kick first on alignment is Nurgle and Dark Elf, because they are the defensive masters. But it's certainly not the wrong choice. I just don't know if it's going to help him that much. It's cool. I think against me, it's going to be a right bollock ache because he's going to be able to kick it deep, and if he knows to kick it deep, then he is going to really outstrength me. Not outstrength me. He's going to be able to put a lot of pressure on. It's going to be great against AI teams. It's going to be great against the undead team. I don't know if it's going to be good. It's not going to do a lot against the Wood Elves, but it is a very nice utility skill. My problem is he is struggling with block efficiency. His team is really struggling with block efficiency. At least it was. That actually looks like a better number. 112, I think it does pale in comparison to pretty much everyone else in the league. Let's have a look. It's not doing too bad. Actually, he's about 80 points behind Toe on that one. He's a lot higher than Wood Elves. Marshall's not really using that new strength yet. I'm hoping he does, but Marshall's also struggling with block efficiency, in all fairness to him. I think I'm doing okay. Yeah, I'm doing a lot better. So, yeah, he is really struggling with block efficiency. He shouldn't be being outblocked by a halfling team, and he currently is. And look, maybe that's a player thing. It looks like it is. I think he's trying to play them like elves, which I think will come back to bite him, and it did in that last game. But it could just be a skills thing. He doesn't have the skills to reliably get the blocks he needs. If that is the case, I think you needed block on those players. I think getting as much block into his positional 6 movement players would have been a real positive. But Kick is great. Kick is awesome. And I really hope that it ends up winning him some games, because it could. Kislev are a pressure team, and his movement allowance 7 guys are starting to really stack up. Second fastest team in the league. So 4 rerolls, a lot of bloat, but they're pretty cheap, so it's not too bad for the Kislev. Their linemen are worth 60k though. His team value is going to inflate. I'm looking forward to it. I've done the calculations in my head for you guys, so I don't have to spend hours in front of a calculator like I did in the last one. I believe he will be starting the next game with no alterations, because 40k means you can't really do too much. With 1280 in team value, because he'll have a 60k merc. So let's take a look at our team. We're currently at 820. That's because we have a 30k overflow. Now, that means we are effectively 790 if we decide to get rid of that money, which I intend to do. The first thing I want to talk about is the level up. Obviously, we've talked about the trees before. Only one skill in the strength tree that I think is worth taking, and that is grab. We hope to roll doubles on them so they can get block. Block and grab is a very, very strong piece. Or we can roll movement allowance up, which turns it into movement allowance up is probably the best skill you can get on a tree. I think strength up is worth taking as well, although strength up, of course, is double 6s, which means you take block, and I absolutely recommend taking block on that occasion. Strength 7, you can start doing some multiple block shenanigans with the strength skill multiple block, but I think block is better. So yeah, he didn't get block, so he gets grab. Easy as that. So how is the team looking? It is looking good. We are still base the same we were when we started. 12 players, 1 reroll. The only change is that we've got 5 fun factor now, which is a killer. That's 50k of very little benefit. And we have 6 skills across the team, which of course is a little above our limit, but they're good skills. So I'm going to leave it for a minute, but when we start looking at, our team value is a little inflated, I'm not sure if I want to do this anymore. Power Fling is probably going to see retirement, because 60k for a Rog Strength 2 Halfling, I think I'd probably take him over a Kislev lineman, who's also 60k. But I'm not entirely sure. It's a difficult choice to make. But for now, this is fine. We are going to be able to get our patented 40k, 400k against Charles, because even without any alterations to our team value today, we are looking at. See, I have it worked out, but I want to write the notes so that we can track alterations in it. So we are at 790 effectively, right? So when we go into that game, Sorry, I thought I muted my mic. I'm going to get the calculator. I know I said I wouldn't. I lied to you all. But only because this is important. This is how you play a halfling team. It's all about team value management. And we need to make sure we do that. So, there it is. So, ooh, really? I'm going to do that calculation again just to make sure I didn't mess it up. Because we might actually have some team value manipulation we need to do. So, we are going to get 490k. That is a lot of money, obviously. But it isn't... I believe it isn't enough to get Puggy, who I believe is 140k. So, let me have a look here. Puggy, Blood Bowl 2. Shit. Star player list. I wonder if Fumble is right. Puggy Bacon Breath. Is he there? Because they could, of course, change these between games. It says 140k. That's what I thought he was. Okay, I will take that. I'll presume that is correct, which means we need 400k for our general inducements. Because remember, we are away, which means we don't get our discounts. So we have 100k for the Halfling Chef. We have 300k for Deep Root Strong Branch, which are necessities to make the team work. So we absolutely have to have that. And that leaves us 90k for... That leaves us 90k. Which means we could actually get Puggy out of pocket with 50k. That's a lot of out of pocket money for him, though. But it is kind of worth it. We kind of need to save out of pocket money for the game against Toe in week 8, but I think we'll have enough by then to replenish. Because we have an AI game in week 7, who I think will replenish. But I'm wondering whether to go 50k out of pocket or 80k out of pocket and just keep this team value. It doesn't really matter that much. Because what I mean by that is, like, we can just stay at 180 right now and end up paying... So if we stay at 180 right now, we will only get 460k. Which means we spend 400 on the baseline stuff, and then we have 60k left. We add the 80k to that, or we add 90k to that, right? And it's... Wait. Yeah, we had... No. We had 80k to that. Yeah, I'm right. We had 80k to that, and we end up at Puggy, right? Which I think is a really important piece to winning those PvP games. So I think that's what we do. And we leave the team value where it is. It doesn't really matter. We could go down to 150 and then pay 50 for Puggy. Or we could stay where we are and pay 80 for Puggy. It doesn't matter. Either way works. So that's what we're going to do. Very excited. I'm glad we got to work this out. We're going to get Puggy. We're going to get Deep Root. We're going to have a 14-man roster with our chef. And it is going to be the glow. So what is the strategy? I hope Charles plays badly. I apologize to say this. I think it's a kind of a dick move to say, but he has been playing Kislev like elves. And look, I'm halflings at the end of the day. We kind of need the opponents to play badly. He's been playing Kislev like elves, and if you do that with AG3 for too long, you fall over. And you roll armor, and you lose positioning. And yeah, I think there is a real danger of him just running away from us. And if that happens, then we have a problem. But if we can tactically strike, if we can get in there, if he puts the ball on his catcher, which is honestly the best thing he can do probably, because it's AG4 and it can do some crazy shit. If he does that, I can get in there with Puggy, with Stunty, and sometimes get some crazy 2-dies. He has no guard. He has very little block. I have a wrestle piece for the blockers, which is the blitzers, and trust me, if I can wrestle a blitzer to the ground, that thing's getting fouled. Same blitzers are just as high priority for me as the war dancers were, and you may have watched the game. I wasn't actually that high priority on the war dancers because I don't forget my game plan to kill a player or anything like that. But if the opportunity arises, we're gonna foul the shit out of that guy, and we have our dirty player back. Yeah. That's what we're going to do. We're going to sit back. We're going to play the halfling game. We're going to look for the out-of-the-box plays. We are going to throw halflings across the pitch. We're going to get Puggy up the field. We're going to blitz with Puggy. We're going to try and get those 2-dies. Or if we can't get 2-dies, get the 1-dies. even get the 2 dice against, try and just cause havoc, muck up his defense, or his offense, muck up his drive, stick as many halflings into random positions as possible so that he finds it difficult to drive, and get the ball free and do stunty stuff. On offense, it is always the plan. We use the trees as a cage until the trees root, and then we throw. And that is it. It is simple, it is effective. Not effective. It is simple, it is easy, and sometimes it works. That's the strategy. That's almost always the strategy. And against this Kislev team, who are relatively inflated, I think it will work. So I hope you guys will join me for that. It is, of course, the Flying Trash Cans versus the Atterur Strikers. Game week 6. Can I hold on to the top of the table, or will they do the job and put away this plucky halfling team? Find out next time on Blood Bowl 2, ESI August.